Pursuant to 28 U.S.C. Section 1746, I, James Damiano, declare under penalty of perjury that the following statement is true and correct. For over 28 years, the United States Federal District Court of New Jersey tried as hard as they could to make me, James Damiano, respond belligerently to their fraud upon the court in James Damiano versus Bob Dylan for copyright infringement. It would be impossible to express the amount of discipline that I was required to display over a period of 28 years, where I had made motions and requests to the court without ever receiving a response, other than Judge Simandl's January 2003 response stating, "The issues arise whether, with the passage of time, the protected materials will continue to have the heightened degree of confidentiality which they were found to enjoy in earlier years. If not, is the future continuation of the injunction against use of confidential materials warranted?" All of this was in light of the fact that this was pertaining to after-the-fact litigation in regard to a First Amendment issue, and also that Judge Simandl's final opinion does not at all reflect the issues of fact that were entered upon the record of the court. One doesn't have to take my word for it. All they would have to review are the depositions and the rest of the facts of the case and compare them to Judge Simandl's final opinion. It is substantiated through the record of the court that the court's ruling of Dylan's contempt motions to hold James Damiano in contempt were all nefarious and fraudulent. These issues of facts were entered upon the record of the court. It was upsetting that the court was, by all legal definitions, being partial to Dylan, which would legally warrant a fraud upon the court. Legal partiality is constituted when a person making a judicial decision gives more weight or credibility to one side than it deserves. This is established when a judge, arbitrator, or juror has a predisposition in favor of one party or class of people. An example would be a prosecutor showing the jury a video of a man named John robbing a bank, and then in the next sentence asking the jury to convict a totally different man named Lewis of the robbery. The court assured Dylan's concocted innocence to the public by hiding the evidence. Not only did the court afford Dylan more weight in judicial rulings, the court also disregarded blatant admissions of guilt by Bob Dylan's witnesses, a documented and validated 11-year association between Damiano and people in Dylan's entourage, a substantial and validated 11-year Bob Dylan solicitation of James Damiano's music, 48 hours of deposition materials that incriminated Bob Dylan, the music analysis of James Damiano's high-honored, Harvard-graduated musicologist who stated that Damiano and Dylan's Grammy-nominated song Dignity contain the exact melodic arc. Judge Simandl also subjectively dismissed the lawsuit in summary judgment without the case ever being presented to a jury, without a Bob Dylan deposition ever occurring, and without an affidavit of denial ever being presented by Bob Dylan. It is also substantiated through the record of the court that Judge Simandl's final opinion does not reflect the issues of facts that were entered upon the record of the court. In other words, it does not get any more despicable, disrespectful, or scandalous than this. The link to James Damiano's website, listed in the description section of this video below verifies and legally substantiates James Damiano's claims against Bob Dylan and the United States Federal District Court of New Jersey, so overwhelmingly that the court should actually be named as a defendant along with Bob Dylan. The court has purposely defamed James Damiano to the world by holding James in contempt for posting deposition materials on the internet that verifiably expose, implicated, and incriminated Bob Dylan. After the court executed all of this fraud upon the court, the court, documented their nefarious and fraudulent involvement to the record of the court. What was the public supposed to believe after reading that James Damiano was held in contempt for violating Judge Joel B. Rosen's gag order against James Damiano in Bob Dylan's stealing of James Damiano's songs? I could only guess that they would believe that James Damiano did something wrong or even criminal. Most people would not distinguish civil contempt from criminal contempt. What they would most likely remember would be the guilty ruling. The court never told the public that all along I, James Damiano, was making motions and requests to the court for permission to release my movie, 11 Years, Bob Dylan's Stealing of James Damiano's Songs, which the court never responded to. There is still, to this date, a request to the court requesting permission to release the movie 11 Years, Bob Dylan's Stealing of James Damiano's Songs, that was filed 27 months ago on July 1st, 2022. This is the epitome of the expression justice delayed. The substantiated and verified proof that I, James Damiano, can defend myself against their false and nefarious allegations against me is that for over 26 years I have been emailing and sending via U.S. mail the United States Justice Department the documented evidence in various media sources like DVD, thumb drives, emails, and so on, in which the Department of Justice only responded once through the United States Marshals Service, who actually, in mind and spirit, reacted favorably to me, James Damiano. Let us think about this specifically. The information contained in this document has been sent to the United States Department of Justice and also thousands upon thousands of attorneys at their various law firms. How far will the government take this? How much more fraud will they commit? And the real kicker is the same information was sent via email to every attorney at Bob Dylan's law firm, Gibson Dunn, none of which upheld their oath to report this massive fraud upon the court to the proper authorities. You don't have to be a genius to know that if not every word of this statement was true, that I, James Damiano, would be arrested, tried, convicted, and properly incarcerated.
Concert, if we may, to the time when you offered the tickets to Mr. Damiano before the concert actually took place. Okay. During that point in time when you offered the tickets to him and before he actually went to the concert, did you ever say to him or suggest to him that maybe he should bring some of his songs with him?
No, I did not.
Do you deny saying that, or is it you just don't recall one way or the other?
I deny suggesting to Jim that he bring songs along with him. I did, however, concur with him when he asked me, do you think I should bring my songs with me? I said, Sure, why not? What could it hurt?
Many times, but on those occasions when he would ask me, could I pass on something to Mr. Dillon, I may have said to him, I'll try and pass it along, or words to that effect. Just to place that in context, I want you to know that, because I'm a truthful person.
Do you recall ever giving Mr. Damiano your fax number?
Yes.
And when Mr. Dillon, how do you reach him?
I phone him.
At his home?
If he's in Los Angeles, yes. If he's on the road, I try and locate him that way.
Do you recall saying the following to Mr. Damiano, sir?
Is there a page reference that you're reading?
I have a 1/2 on it.
Is there a debate
Date's number 144.
Okay, let me just put that in front of the witness.
Sure. You state at the top of the page, or at least it appears to that you state, my job here is to pass along information to Bob. Do you recall saying that, sir? Looking
Yes.
at the top. Okay. And Bob, of course, is Bob Dylan.
Yes.
And then you say, which I think I have. Do you see that, sir?
Yes.
Did you say that?
Yes.
Okay. When you said that to Mr. Damiano, which I think I have, were you lying to him?
I was